Do not forget to like the video. Share your thoughts in comments. And subscribe to stay updates with our latest stories. The courtroom was filled with a heavy silence, the kind that wrapped around a person's chest and made breathing difficult. Captain Adam Reynolds sat stiffly in his wheelchair, his fingers clenching the armrests as he fought to maintain his composure. He had faced war, seen men perish before his eyes, but this was different. His lawyer, Sarah Collins, stood beside him, her voice steady and filled with conviction. "Your Honor, my client is here today for one reason only. He is asking for a final meeting. A farewell he rightfully deserves." The judge, an elderly man with sharp, calculating eyes, adjusted his glasses. He scanned the room before focusing on Adam, as if trying to gauge the depth of his emotions. Across the courtroom, Major Eric Dawson sat with his arms crossed, his military uniform pristine, his face void of any empathy. He had been the one to separate Adam from Max, the one who had classified the golden retriever as government property. The doors at the back of the courtroom creaked open. Gasps rippled through the audience as a golden retriever trotted into the room. Adam's breath hitched. "Max?" The dog's ears perked up, his deep brown eyes searching the room. Then, as if recognizing the very essence of his best friend, Max let out a high-pitched whimper and bolted forward. Adam barely had time to react before Max reached him, placing his front paws on his lap, his tail wagging furiously. Tears burned behind Adam's eyes as he reached forward, burying his face into Max's thick golden fur. The courtroom faded away. The whispers, the judge's voice, even Sarah's legal arguments, they all dissolved into nothingness. It was just him and Max. A flood of memories crashed over him, the day he met Max during his military training, the countless nights Max had stayed by his side after a traumatic mission, the moment Max had dragged him to safety after an explosion had left him crippled. And then, the moment they had been separated. Adam clenched his jaw. He had begged, pleaded, fought tooth and nail, but the military had been unwavering. "Max is a government asset," they had said. "Not a personal pet." But how could they not understand? Max was more than just a service dog. He was family. The judge's gavel struck against the podium, pulling Adam out of his trance. "Considering the circumstances," the judge said, his tone softer than before, "I see no reason to keep them apart." Sarah let out a breath of relief, squeezing Adam's shoulder. The murmurs in the courtroom grew louder, some of approval, others of discontent. Major Dawson stood, his expression unreadable. "This isn't over," he muttered before walking out. Adam didn't care. Max was going home with him. The weeks that followed were like a dream. Adam and Max fell into a familiar routine, morning walks, lazy afternoons on the porch, and quiet nights where Adam no longer felt the suffocating grip of nightmares. For the first time in years, he felt like a whole person. But happiness had a way of being fleeting. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Sarah arrived at Adam's small countryside home, a thick file in her hands. Her expression was grim. "What's wrong?" Adam asked, his stomach twisting. Sarah hesitated before placing the folder on the table. "They're appealing the case." Adam's breath caught in his throat. "What?" "They're arguing that Max is still military property and that the ruling was unjust. The final hearing is in 3 months." Adam's fists clenched. He had survived war. He had fought battles that had cost him more than he could ever regain. And now, he had to fight again. But this time, he wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for Max. The media got hold of the story. Veteran battles for his service dog. The military's cruelty, how they stole a soldier's best friend. Public opinion began to shift in Adam's favor. Support poured in from all over the country, letters, donations, even protests outside military offices demanding that Max stay with Adam. But the military wasn't backing down. Major Dawson released a statement, "While we respect Captain Reynolds' service, military assets must remain classified under their intended purposes." Adam sat in his living room, staring at the television screen. His chest burned with frustration. Max rested his head on Adam's lap, sensing his distress. Sarah sighed, running a hand through her hair. They're not going to let this go, Adam. We need something bigger. Something they can't ignore. Adam nodded. He knew exactly what he had to do. The final hearing arrived. The courtroom was packed, reporters, veterans, activists. Adam sat in his wheelchair, his posture straight, his gaze unwavering. He had spent years fighting wars that had taken everything from him. He refused to lose this battle. The military's lawyer presented their case, their words cold and detached. Max is a government asset. He was trained for military operations. Captain Reynolds' emotional attachment does not change legal ownership. Then, it was Sarah's turn. She stood, her voice strong. Captain Reynolds didn't just serve this country, he sacrificed for it. And Max wasn't just his service dog. He was his partner, his protector, his lifeline. She turned to the judge. If we truly honor our soldiers, we don't take away the very thing that helps them survive. Silence filled the room. The judge tapped his gavel once, adjusting his glasses. I have reached a decision. Adam held his breath. Max stays with Captain Reynolds. The courtroom erupted into applause. Reporters rushed forward, cameras flashing. Sarah squeezed Adam's hand, a rare smile on her face. Max let out a happy bark, oblivious to the battle that had just been won. But Adam knew. Some wars weren't fought on battlefields. Some victories weren't about medals. And sometimes, the greatest battles were won with love.